Hello everyone, and welcome back to Our Eyes on Indie. My name is Finn, and I have the absolute pleasure of bringing you our review of Balatro. Oh boy, this is an interesting one. It is blowing up right now. If you haven't heard about it, then you definitely are into the roguelike or the card game scene. But this is one that I actually had kind of seen previously when they had a demo for it. And while I read it, I kind of passed it off a bit, not going to lie. And my reason for that is, while I'm someone that loves roguelikes and I love card games, I'm not a fan of poker. Poker is not a card game I particularly enjoy. I like having a little bit more strategy to a game versus, okay, I've got this hand of cards and, throwing things out. There's just a little bit too much luck in an actual game of poker for me. But Balatro aims to capture my attention, so I decided to give it a try, and now we're here to give all of you our review. So, with all that said, is this a hand worth playing, or is it time to go ahead and jump out of the pot? Well, without further ado, let's get into the review. So, like I said, Balatro is a roguelike card game, two categories I incredibly enjoy all the time, both in sort of like real life with playing card games, but also in video games. I play so many roguelikes. If you've been on the channel, you already know about it. I reviewed Crossblitz late last year, and that's a roguelike card game that I really enjoyed. Despite some problems that people have with it, I still enjoy it immensely. Balatro is in the same category. If there's one thing I have to say about Balatro and its design, it is simple and it works so incredibly well. The whole thing with Balatro is you're basically just playing poker by yourself, right? In every game, you're going to be going through a couple of different blinds. You're going to face a boss blind that has a different modifier. And in each of these blinds, you have to get a certain amount of chips. Now, these chips are your points, and you're not actually fighting anything in the game. You're just trying to get a certain number of points in as many hands as you're allotted, or as few hands as possible is a better way to put it. So, when you jump in, that's pretty much it. There's no plot here. By the way, you're just thrown in, you're just playing poker hands, right? And how it's going to work is you're going to start your run, you're going to pick a deck. Each of the decks have different modifiers. For example, the one you start with is the red deck. It gives you +1 to the amount of discards you have per round. Or the blue one gives you +1 to your hands that you can play per round. There's a green deck that gets you some money chances for certain things, but makes it so you don't get interest, and all these other things that modify the game and make it interesting, and just enough of a way to not ruin the simple nature of this game. Because the thing is, you're not playing a total game of poker. Yes, this whole game is poker based, but you're also not, throwing in money into the pot, and you're not just bailing out of a round because you don't like your hand. Instead, how it works is every round you draw up to your maximum hand size, which starts out at 8. Then what you're able to do is you're able to select up to 5 cards. And then you can either choose to discard those cards and then draw 5 or less more cards, depending on how many you discard. Or you can play that hand, and your goal is to play a good poker hand. So things like, okay, yeah, I've got an ace, and then I play here's a random 3 and a 4, and then a 6, or whatever, right? Then you're going to score based off your highest card, which is going to be your ace, and that will net you 11 chips, and then those chips are then added to a multiplier that's based on the type of hand you play, and the level that hand is, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then that will give you the amount of chips you get for playing that hand, and then you'll simply redraw your cards, and you'll go again. Obviously, it's pretty simple. I've literally described to you how this game works already. You're just going to play poker hands, and you just want to get the best hands possible. Obviously, going for, royal flush, just saying, it's there. I haven't gotten it yet, because, my luck's not very good, but it's possible. It's something you could do. So it's good because it's simple. This is the simplest roguelike, let alone simplest card game I've ever played, and it makes me happy taking something and turning it into something else. It reminds me of things I've done for youth camps that I've gone and worked at, where I've basically taken a deck of cards, made a little game that relates to the lesson, made it very simple, and it works. And that's the same mentality that Balatro has, and I love it. I love it. It's so good because when you can get simple but deep, it's fantastic. So, there's a whole lot more to talk about the gameplay, but real quick, let's talk about the art style. It's kind of the CRT look, kind of pixely. The cards is very simple. It reminds me a lot. If you've played Lost Ark, there is a raid that's all this Dark Carnival stuff, and for some reason, this game and the art style just reminds me of that. So if you've played that, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, feel free to look it up. I can't even remember what the raid is called right now. It's been so long since I have played Lost Ark, but I just wanted to throw it out there. But let's get back into the gameplay, because let's be honest, if it was just playing poker hands, I would be incredibly bored with this game. Alright, like, sure, that's cool, whatever. Well, here's the thing. You get the entire deck to yourself, right? Like I said, you're not playing against anybody else, but you do still want to make yourself better regardless, because as you progress throughout a run, the amount of chips you need for each blind is increased. So obviously you need to kind of manipulate the game so you can get better hands or make it so hands score more. And there are multiple ways to do that. First and foremost, and this is kind of the most exciting part, are the Joker cards. There are, according to the Steam page, 150 different Jokers in the game. You can hold up to 5 of them at any given time, and each of them is going to have different passives for you. For example, one that I got at one point was every time you played a card of the spades, then you are going to get +4 to your multiplier. So if, for example, I'm playing a pair, which has a multiplier of 2, then that would move it up to a multiplier of 6, further increasing the amount of chips that I would get for playing that hand. Or others make it that you get more chips if you play a certain kind of hand. I've gotten one where every time I played a straight, I would get 100 extra chips to that scoring of that hand. And that was really good because obviously it's already a straight, which scores pretty well, especially if you're using the higher cards, like your face cards. And then I had one that was every time you played a face card, then that would score you another extra 30 chips. It's so good, and it lets you weave together these combos. And then, the other thing is, too, with these, you can kind of focus into, okay, I want to play a lot of pairs, I want to play a lot of straights, I want to play a lot of full houses, all these different things, so you can kind of cater around your luck, or just the style you want to go for. Next up, okay, there's just so much here. After you win a blind, you're going to receive some money, right? And after you receive the money, you're going to go into the shop, alright? In the shop, you're going to be able to buy the Jokers, like I talked about previously, or you can buy some booster packs, and booster packs come in a few varieties. You can get standard playing cards, which add new cards to your deck, so yes, you go above a standard 52 card deck, or even below, if you so choose. And then you're going to add those new cards. Those new cards can have modifiers. For example, you can have like a king that has a multiplier. So when you play that king, it actually goes ahead and adds a multiplier to whatever your multiplier already is. Or you have one that makes it so, okay, it has a better chance to give you a multiplier, but also has a chance of just being destroyed outright. Or, you know, you can get a stone card that doesn't have a suit, but it scores 50 chips, so it's pretty good if you just want to go for the highest card, or you just kind of want a dud card to throw out when you have a bad hand, right? And so there are all these different varieties to just the normal playing cards, and that's awesome. But then you've also got planet cards. And planet cards are going to upgrade the hands you play. So your hands start at level 1, and then they're going to increase, and when they increase, the amount of chips that they give you baseline for playing that kind of hand increases, and the multiplier amount increases, and so you can see where this is going, right? You want to upgrade the one. So a lot of times I find myself upgrading pairs, because I end up with a lot of pairs and not much else to do, and that's okay, I live on and it's fine. But I increase it so that way, yes, I'm getting stuck with just pairs, but Every time I play a pair, it's going to be better and better and better as I go on. Next up, we've also got tarot cards. Tarot cards are going to be a consumable card that you use, and they do everything from making it so certain cards will go up a value, so you can turn a 2 into a 3, a queen into a king, etc., etc., or maybe making it so that certain cards become different kinds of cards, have a different modifier on that kind of card, or just, it just all these different things. They're really cool. They let you modify your deck a bit, and it's a lot of fun. And let's see. We got that. We've also got vouchers. Oh boy, vouchers. Vouchers are similar to jokers in the fact where, jokers are a passive thing that happens. Sometimes you have to meet certain conditions. Vouchers are just straight up like stat buffs. All right. They say, here's an extra hand for every single round so you can play more. Here's an extra discard. Here's some extra interest for if you have money left over between rounds. Oh boy, just the sheer amount of variety and what you can kind of build into is staggering. I still have not discovered all the jokers. There are 150 of them in the game. There are so many. I have not seen even half of them at this point, but I've still played enough to where I feel like I can give you a good gist of the game. Now, the other interesting thing, just to cycle back to runs and how runs work, is every time you are in the run, you are going to be going to upping the ante. That's your goal, is you want to get to ante 8 and beat the boss at ante 8. When you do that, that counts as a victory. Now, here's the deal. Every time you are in an ante, you're going to have a small blind, a big blind, and then the boss blind. You are completely able to skip the small and the big blind. And by doing so, you get what's called a tag. And the tags do different things. Like, okay, there's one that says, okay, when you beat the boss tag, or beat the boss blind, you're going to receive 15 money. Or there's another one that says re-roll what the boss blind is, because the boss blinds, like I said earlier, have different modifiers. There's one that makes it so you can't play the same kind of hand more than once during that fight. It's incredibly difficult because you're like, okay, I've already played a pair, so now I can play a 2 pair, now I need a 3 of a kind, now I need a full house. It makes you think and play in different ways. There's another one that makes it so you can only play one hand during that blind. So you're thinking incredibly hard. How many discards can I do? Do I need to play this? Does this hand get me enough chips? What do I do? There's another one that makes it so you have to play 5 cards every single hand. There's another one that's really brutal where you can't play any of the cards you've played in that current ante. That one I ran into because I re-rolled the boss and I was like, oh shoot, that's an issue because now I'm stuck and I can't use the cards that I've already played throughout this ante. Oh man, they are just fun and exciting, and every time you see it, you're like, okay, what do I need to prep for? What can I do going into this, right? And that's what makes Balatro so exciting with its simple and approachable design. Everyone understands how poker works, right? We all understand it's about getting the best hands, it's about winning, it's about bluffing. This removes the whole bluff aspect. This removes the fear of maybe losing money if you're actually playing in like a casino or something, and simply allows you to make hands in a strategic way with all of the cards available to you. You're not fighting anything. You're just trying to get as many chips as possible and go as far as you can. It's incredibly satisfying, incredibly easy to approach, and just incredibly relaxing, yet also incredibly deep. Because I can just sit back and play some casual poker hands, right? But also if I really want to, I can buckle up and really focus in on trying to perform as best as I can and going for a full win. It's incredibly exciting, and I have not played a roguelike card game this simple and yet deep in ages, right? Cross splits, like I talked about earlier, it's a bit more complicated. It's more like Hearthstone. Balatro is just so approachable. This is the kind of game you could show to someone that's getting new into either roguelikes in general or card games, even computer games, and they can understand. because it's so easy to approach, and everyone, like I said before, has a general idea of what poker is. So, if you could not tell, Balatro is an absolutely tremendous recommendation here at Our Eyes on Indie. It is so approachable, so deep, so incredibly well done. And I cannot wait to just sit back and play more of this game. It is fantastic. So, with all said, Balatro, it's an easy recommend from us here. It is developed by Local Thunk and published by PlayStack and is available for $14.99 on Steam. Well worth your price. Just saying, it's an absolute blast. You will not regret it. So, that's all I've got to say on Balatro. It's great, it's good, it's fantastic. If you liked this review, go ahead and leave a like down below. And if you've also played Balatro, I'm curious to know, what are some of your favorite jokers that you found? What are some of the builds you've kind of gone for with your deck? I'm curious what people have been doing in this. I'm still experimenting and figuring out what I like, what I don't like, figuring out, okay, how do I want to build and go through this? It's so exciting. But with all that said, that's all from us here. My name is Finn. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you on this review. So have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll be here with Our Eyes on Indie.